the alchemist and Gamayun.
Alchonist and Gamayun are two legendary prophetic birds from Slavic mythology, symbolizing the dual forces of joy and sorrow, fate and divine knowledge. Though often mentioned together, each creature holds a distinct role within folklore. The alchonist is a radiant, paradise-born bird with the body of a bird and the face of a beautiful woman. Its song is said to be so enchanting that anyone who hears it forgets all earthly worries and feels overwhelming bliss. Alchonist represents heavenly happiness, spiritual peace, and the otherworldly realm. It is believed to lay its eggs on the seashore, calming the waves during the sacred time, further reinforcing its association with divine serenity and harmony. In contrast, Gamayun is a dark prophetess bird known for delivering messages of impending doom or great change. With a haunting voice and piercing gaze, Gamayun possesses immense knowledge of the universe, history, and human destiny. Its appearance often signals significant events, warnings, or revelations that cannot be ignored. Together, Alchonist and Gamayun embody the balance between hope and warning, pleasure and prophecy, reminding humans that joy and destiny are eternally interconnected forces shaping their path through life. The Griffin. Long before dragons ruled the skies in fantasy, the Griffin was already there. Part lion, part eagle, all nightmare. Ancient cultures believed this creature was the ultimate guardian, a beast designed by the gods themselves to protect forbidden treasures. With the body of a lion and the head and wings of a massive eagle, the Griffin combined the king of the land with the king of the sky. And it showed. Legend said griffins nested in remote mountains and desert cliffs, places no ordinary human would dare approach. They were said to guard piles of gold, sacred relics, and the tombs of forgotten kings. Anyone foolish enough to get too close didn't get a warning. The Griffin would dive from the clouds at impossible speed, claws first, snapping bones before its victim even realized what was happening. In some stories, entire armies avoided certain regions just because a griffin was rumored to live there. Ancient soldiers swore they saw massive winged silhouettes circling above battlefields, waiting, watching, choosing. To merchants and travelers, the griffin wasn't just a myth. It was a death sentence with wings, a symbol of power, domination, and the brutal truth that some treasures were never meant to be taken.
The harpy. People expected beauty when they heard the word. They were disappointed almost instantly. The harpy was all sharp edges and bitter fury, a twisted fusion of woman and bird, with filthy wings and talons caked and wrought. Its face carried the outline of humanity, but the eyes behind it were empty of mercy. Ancient stories painted the harpy as a punishment with feathers, a creature sent by the gods to torment those who had earned their wrath. It harassed, it humiliated. It would swoop from the sky, steal food from tables, rip offerings apart, and leave behind a stench so foul it made people gag. Then it circled back, screaming with a voice that sounded like metal scraping bone. Some myths describe them as kidnappers, dragging victims into the sky where no one could hear the final struggle. Others claim they were messengers of divine justice, delivering suffering in waves until a lesson was learned. The problem was, the harpy never explained the lesson. You didn't reason with it. You didn't tame it. You endured it. And when its shadow passed over the ground, everyone below understood one thing. Something had gone very, very wrong.
The Sphinx. It didn't chase. It didn't roar. It just waited. A massive stone-bodied creature with the limbs of a lion and the face of a human, standing perfectly still in the desert like it had been placed there by the universe itself. Travelers would spot it in the distance and think it was a statue, a landmark, something harmless. They were always wrong. The Sphinx wasn't interested in strength or weapons or bravery. It hunted with words. As anyone who approached it, its eyes would slowly open and the voice would spill into the empty air. Cold, calm, patient. A riddle would follow. Simple on the surface, twisted underneath. Answer correctly, and you were allowed to pass. Fail, and the Sphinx didn't argue. Its claws did the rest. Some say bones surrounded its resting place, half buried in sand, polished by centuries of wind. Evidence of minds that weren't sharp enough. Pride it couldn't tolerate. Unlike monsters that lunged, the Sphinx tested. It judged. It decided if you were worth continuing your journey. And the most terrifying part wasn't its power. It was the idea that your life could end not because you fought poorly, but because you thought poorly.
The Sirens.
Sailors didn't see them at first. They heard them, soft voices drifting across open water, clear and perfect, like a lullaby meant only for the lonely. Men who had survived storms, wars, and crossing endless seas would stop what they were doing just to listen. Oars slowed, hands loosened, eyes went glassy. The sirens were not gentle muses. They were precision traps. Perched on jagged coastal rocks, half women, half fish in older myths, later twisted into sea-born beauties. They sang songs that dug straight into the human mind. Promises of love, of a home, of peace. Each note carefully chosen to pull ships closer and closer to the cliffs below. By the time the sailors realized what was happening, it was already too late. Holes shattered against stone, bodies dragged beneath the waves. But the singing never stopped. What made the sirens terrifying wasn't sharp claws or monstrous teeth. It was how little effort they needed. They didn't chase, they didn't fight. They waited and let desire do the damage. And long after the wreckage faded into the sea, their voices still echoed over the water, hunting the next foolish heart that dared to listen.
The Roc. In ancient Arabic folklore, the Roc wasn't just a bird. It was a flying disaster. Sailors crossing the Indian Ocean told stories of a shadow so large it could turn day into night. They would look up, expecting a storm cloud, only to see a colossal bird gliding silently overhead. Wings said to span wider than a ship's mast, talons strong enough to crush elephants like twigs. This was the Roc. According to legend, the Roc lived on remote islands far beyond known maps, nesting on mountaintops no human could climb. Its eggs were described as massive as small huts, so heavy that entire crews could barely move them. Some stories claim sailors who tried to steal these eggs never made it back to shore. The Roc would descend without warning, grip their ship, and lift it, screaming into the sky, before dropping it into the ocean like a discarded toy. Marco Polo himself wrote about seeing giant feathers that supposedly belonged to the monstrous bird. Locals swore it hunted whales, carrying them into the air before letting gravity finish the job. Whether exaggeration or misunderstood sightings of giant eagles, the Roc became a symbol of nature's raw, unstoppable power. A creature so vast, so terrifying that even the bravest explorers agreed on one thing. If the Roc appeared overhead, it was already too late.
The Tengu. The Tengu is a powerful and mysterious creature from Japanese folklore, often considered a supernatural being that exists between a god, demon, and spirit. Traditionally depicted as a humanoid figure with the wings and talons of a bird, Tengu are most famously recognized by their long red face and exaggerated nose, or in older depictions by a crow-like beak. They are said to inhabit deep mountain forests, where they guard sacred lands and test the pride and strength of wandering warriors and monks. Tengu are known for their incredible martial skills, especially with swords and staffs, and they're often portrayed as masters of strategy and combat. In early legends, they were seen as dangerous tricksters who caused chaos, kidnapped monks, and led travelers astray. Over time, however, their image evolved into that of stern but wise protectors and teachers who reward discipline and punish arrogance.
These elusive beings possess the ability to fly at incredible speeds, control wind, and even shapeshift into human form. The Tengu represents the fine line between chaos and wisdom, reminding humanity that true power must always be balanced with humility and respect for nature.
The Thunderbird. It wasn't just a bird in the storm. It was the storm. Indigenous legend spoke of a colossal creature so vast that its wings could block out the sun, leaving the land below swallowed in sudden darkness. When the Thunderbird took flight, the air shook. When its wings beat downward, thunder rolled across the sky and split the sky open like cracked glass. People didn't spot it often. Most encounters came from a distance, a shadow sweeping over trees, a violent scream mixed with the sound of lightning, then rain following as if obeying orders. It wasn't random weather, it was passive. Some believe the Thunderbird controlled storms, creating a lightning by snapping its beak or flapping its wings. Others said it battled giant serpents in the clouds, and every clash sent bolts ripping into the earth below. Crops flattened, forests burned, entire valleys soaked in a fire birthed from its fury. But strangely, it wasn't always destruction. Certain tribes saw the Thunderbird as a protector, a force that drove away evil spirits, a guardian of balance. Still, no one truly trusted it because when the sky darkened and thunder echoed without warning, one question always followed. Was it passing by or choosing a target?
The Hippogriff.
No one trusted it at first. They stared at it in quiet disbelief, trying to make sense of what shouldn't exist. The front half, a razor-beaked eagle with talons strong enough to crush stone. The back half, a powerful warhorse, muscles coiled and restless. Predator and prey fused into one impossible form. By every rule of nature, a hippogriff should have never been born. Eagles devour horses. They don't merge with them. And yet, there it stood, proved as something old and unpredictable had bent the world just to prove a point. It wasn't savage for no reason. It was proud, territorial, and deeply offended by arrogance. Legends warned that approaching one required absolute respect. Any sight of mockery meant instant. A single beat of its wings could knock a grown man flat. Its hooves struck like hammer blows. Those who tried to force obedience rarely walked away. But for those who showed patience, something strange happened. The hippogriff allowed itself to be near them. Not owned, not broken, just accepted. It became a symbol of the impossible made real. A reminder that some creatures don't exist to serve. They exist to challenge the very idea of control. The Pegasus.
The first time anyone saw it, they didn't cheer, they froze. A massive white horse with wings stretching wider than a sailing mast, circling silently above the cliffs like an own the sky. Pegasus wasn't a pet. It wasn't a loyal steed waiting for a heroic rider. It was wild, untouchable, and dangerously intelligent. Legends say when the venom from the severed neck of Medusa hit the earth, it was born. Not from love, not from light, from chaos. And maybe that explains why it never belonged to anyone for long. Kings tried to capture it. Warriors tried to ride it into battle. Most failed. Some were thrown from impossible heights. Others were simply trampled when the creature grew tired of being controlled. Pegasus could take off without warning, beating the ear so hard it sounded like thunder tearing the sky open. Its hooves were set to strike the ground and summon fresh water springs. A blessing, right? Only if it chose to land near you. It didn't serve humans. It tolerated them. And when it finally ascended to the heavens, becoming a constellation, the message was clear. Freedom was never negotiable. It was claimed.
The Phoenix. Unlike most mythical creatures, the Phoenix wasn't feared for how it was feared for how it refused to die. Ancient legends spoke of a magnificent bird wreathed in flames, glowing like a living sunrise against the sky. Its feathers were said to shimmer in gold and crimson, its eyes burning with unnatural intelligence. But the most disturbing part wasn't its beauty. It was its cycle. The phoenix lived a long, solitary life, sometimes hundreds of years, until the day its body began to fail. And instead of fading away, it built its own funeral pyre, a nest of rare herbs and fragrant woods. Then, without hesitation, it set itself ablaze, wings, flesh, and bone consumed in a raging inferno, as if the creature willingly chose its own destruction. But the fire was never the end. From the ashes, a new phoenix would rise, young, perfect, reborn. Memories of its former life echoing through its existence like a ghost that refused to leave. Some believed the phoenix controlled fire itself, others said its tears could heal any wound. To ancient civilizations, it became a symbol of rebirth, immortality, and eternal cycles. To witnesses, it was something far more unsettling, a creature that proved death was optional.
The Periton.
The Periton is a rare and unsettling mythical creature known for its strange blend of beauty and dread. First described in medieval folklore and later popularized in literature, a Periton appears as the majestic stag or deer, with large, powerful bird wings, but its most disturbing trait is its shadow. Instead of casting the silhouette of its own body, a Periton's shadow takes the form of a human, a haunting omen that marks it as a symbol of death and ill fate. According to legend, Peritons originate from cursed human souls, or those who committed unforgivable sins, eternally trapped between the animal and spiritual realms. They are said to soar silently across stormy skies and desolate mountain ranges, hunting travelers and isolated wanderers. The creature is believed to seek the heart of a human, to finally transform into a normal living being, a process steeped in dark magic and sacrifice. In some traditions, encountering a Periton is seen as a warning of betrayal, tragedy, or approaching doom. Its human shadow represents the life it once had, or the life it is destined to take, making the Periton a chilling reminder of guilt, transformation, and the thin boundary between the living and the damned.